Today, will Donald Trump be back on Twitter? Elon speaks, and the White House encourages protesting outside Supreme Court justices' homes. We've got all that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and it's a family reunion kind of day. It's a family day. So we have Chad Prather, host
It's a
of the
messed
Chad
up
Prather
family, bro.
Yeah, it's like our uncle's not here because we killed him in that DUI accident and we didn't tell anyone about it, but
It's a real deep family secret.
Obviously, also Elijah Schaefer, host of Slightly Offensive. You can find both of them on BlazeTV, as well as YouTube, which you should be subscribed to both of their YouTube channels and their audio podcasts. So I feel like it's going to be a fun one, but also I'm not sure if the YouTube crowd will be able to find the full show over there. We'll see.
I sense some censorship.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm giving the results of my HIV test too halfway through the show.
You got vaxxed too.
Yeah, I was like, you said to talk about something positive, so I decided I'd bring my test onto the show.
Right on.
I can't wait for those results. I feel like Maury Povich. All right, so Elon Musk was speaking, I believe this was yesterday at FT Live, and he finally opened up about what he thought about Trump's Twitter ban, and here's what he had to say about that.
I do think that it was not correct to ban Donald Trump. I think that was a mistake because it alienated a large part of the country and did not ultimately result in Donald Trump not having a voice. He is now going to be on Truth Social, as will a large part of the right in the United States. And so I think this could end up being, frankly, worse than having a single forum where everyone can debate. The point that I'm trying to make, which is perhaps not getting across, is that banning Trump from Twitter didn't end Trump's voice. It will amplify it among the right. And this is why it is morally wrong and flat out stupid.
So I would say, first of all, I just love watching him in things like this because he's just such an oddball on Twitter. He just seems to be like such a big weirdo, and then he goes on these interviews and he's like very stoic and professional.
It's called autism, Sarah.
Asperger's to be precise.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not even making a joke of it.
wild.
It's like, wow, he's very strange on the internet, and then in person, he's got a dissociative personality. There's a diagnosis for that.
I mean, that's fine. It's just still weird to see. Okay, so it's obviously true that it was immoral to have Trump banned from Twitter. Banning voices is obviously what drives young people to be increasingly radicalized. Not just young people, but everyone seek out voices on the fringes because you go, wait a second. Why is this person being banned? What do they have to say that's so bad and scary? I'm going to go dig deeper into that. But I mean, look, I don't know that I agree that Trump's voice being amplified was like a bad thing.
Do you miss Trump on Twitter, though?
He didn't incite violence.
Like,
at the end of the day.
honestly, do you miss?
I actually do.
Okay.
I actually, do you not?
I'm indifferent, I guess, on it.
It was so amusing to me.
Well, it was amusing while he was president, right? Now he's not president.
But have you seen his press releases?
Yeah.
They're so funny.
They are funny, but again, he's not the president. So then we were getting some information that the media was withholding. Mm-hmm. So we kind of felt like we were getting an inside. There he is, 3:30 in the morning, butt naked in the West Wing, sitting on the toilet, and he just decides to tweet something out. Freshly spray painted orange with little whites around his eyes where the goggles were, and a thong tan, tan line right there.
You're turning me on.
And he's like, bam, there it is, tweet. And he's like a laser pointer to catch, and the media just follows it around everywhere for the next 36 hours. He controls the news cycle. Now, what's he going to reveal? Is there anything?
But I would say that it's just the fact that anything that he tweets, he can literally, as you're saying, he can be on his toilet tweeting something and
golden toilet, I might add,
and hit tweet and just send leftists over the edge. I think
that's fun.
That's what does
agree.
it for me.
Yeah,
that turns me on a little bit.
When he has his little thumbs and he pulls them out, I mean, I do love Trump, but nobody loves Trump more than himself. And I still have the golden toilet, orange tan, and the thong picture in my mind, and I'm getting worried because I'm liking it too much. But
honestly, it's fantastic image. I'll be honest with you.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic thong tan you've ever seen. With him going back on Twitter, I think the issue with Twitter is, number one, Trump isn't really using anything anymore because his ego isn't stoked to the point, like you said, where he's president, where he can actually get out there and speak. And I liked Trump, but even to this day, I mean, like, you look at this, he endorsed Dr. Oz, which, by the way, let's just say this, I don't like to influence people's voting choices so much, but don't vote for that guy.
You don't?
Don't vote for that guy. I don't want to tell them who to vote for, but just don't vote for that guy.
I mean, if you're a true conservative, don't vote for that guy.
Unless you want a Democrat in office, its best friends are Oprah Winfrey and the Obamas, then I wouldn't put that guy into office. But it's like, Cernovich put out today that, an endorsement from Jack Posobiec on Twitter might hold more weight now than a Trump endorsement, to be completely frank. And there's some truth to that, meaning Trump's he dipped out for 2 years, and he also abandoned a lot of people in January 6th. He kind of, he went out, started Truth Social, and I love what I read. Nobody's using Truth Social, not even Trump. Like, he hasn't even been using his own app. And so he goes, oh, well, and I mean this genuinely. Oh, I'm not going to go back on Twitter. I'm going to be on Truth Social. Really? If you cared about your constituents, you would go where they are. I go on all types of apps. Everyone watching the show is on tons of social media that hates them, that censors them. Why do you go there? So you can reach people that you care about. Because it's not about you, it's about them. And the fact that he's putting his corporation and his business, so his little investors can make some money, over the fact that he could get back on Twitter and he could go back and reach people, but he goes, nah, I don't want to. He's just caring about his money and his wallet, rather than actually making an impact, and that's been my whole problem with him the last couple of years. What is he doing?
Yeah, you do have quite a point there, because you especially look at, he seems very tone deaf. You look at what was it, the last rally where he had the Johnson & Johnson family on at the rally the same day that the FDA announced
free Pfizer boosters at the entrance,
Yeah, it was just
negative
what
COVID tests for Trump.
Doing? This is weird.
Listen, I've been a big critic of Trump for a long time, right? I like Trump fine. I think Trump did a lot of good things, but the way I always characterize Trump is, he's that really good sales guy that maybe isn't that bright. I mean, you know those guys.
Yeah.
You want them on your team, right? They get the deal done, but
Yes.
you don't. He always, a lot of times on the golf course, you just know that he doesn't really know what he's talking about in this situation. And I'll get a lot of crap for saying that, whatever. But he's got a lot of bad people in his ear. I mean, if Trump is some super conservative, why is he still listening to the advice of Rance Priebus? Why are these people giving him the advice on who to endorse? So Trump, I think, took a big hit on the J6 stuff, as you mentioned. I think pushing the vaccine, championing that stuff, took a big hit on that stuff. What's best for the country right now? I'd like to see a guy in 2024 run for president who I think is already getting it done, has a track record of doing that. So don't let your ego get in the way. Let's back off. Get yourself behind a guy like Ron DeSantis. Let's push that forward. He's a practical, common sense, real conservative. Let's push that thing. But I don't think Trump's ego is going to let him do that. And I think putting him back on Twitter, which fine, he should be back on Twitter. Right. But how much more of a distraction is that going to be in the long run to what we need to do moving forward? Because let's face it, conservatives suck when it comes to seeing the future. They really do. The left has their elections planned out through 2060. We can't get over 2020.
Yeah.
And that's just going to exacerbate that even more. That's why I'm like, if he comes back, he comes back. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's entertaining, but how much of a distraction is it?
So I want to move on to all of the money that we are apparently sending to Ukraine, or that the House wants us to send to Ukraine. But I do want to hear from you guys really quickly. Do you think Trump is going to be, like, he's going to hold on to that, nominee spot, and he is going to take it?
Yeah, he's going to, and I think ultimately we'd be better off with Alex Jones back on Twitter than Trump, and I mean this thoroughly because I feel a little bit of personal attack from Trump and his associates, meaning. I've vouched for him. I've fought, both in his election all the way through his entire presidency, worked on exposing a lot of things. And I watched as there was just inaction after inaction, right? We watched in 2020, our cities being burned to the ground, dozens of people being killed, billions of dollars of damage. And the guy does a photo op, with a Bible in front of St. John's Church after it's nearly burned to the ground. And you know, you have over 80 Secret Service members attacked, and we don't even remember that. It's memory hold as they tried to, you know, force an insurrection at the White House. Meanwhile, January 6th comes. This is our one time to push back as the major assault comes to call us all terrorists, and he's nowhere to be seen. He's nowhere to be seen. And if he was innocent, then, you know, when you're innocent, I mean, the pressure's on, but now's the time when we needed you. We've been at war for the last, you know, several years now with the left in a big way since 2020. But then he comes back out, and I watched that, and with the wall, right? I think he wanted $15 or $18 billion for the wall, and they can get $40 billion overnight for Ukraine, like we're going to get into, and he couldn't get it done. I mean, I want to like the guy. I want to wish that he can do more, but just like your toxic ex that you keep thinking, if you get back together, it's going to work this time. I happen to be on the side with Trump that, you know, if he's the guy running, then I'm going to get behind him. But at the same time, it's like, I think DeSantis and other people are getting more done in their own states at that level than he is. And this is very sad because I do not like Greg Abbott. When Greg Abbott is competing with you for getting as much done as you, then you know you're not doing well in the Republican Party. If you're like at Greg Abbott's level, and I would put Trump at Abbott's level right now.
Chad.
A lot of jokes.
This is, I was going to say, this is a... sounds like something you need to comment on.
Well, Greg Abbott is trash. I mean, he's big government. He's a flip side of the same coin.
You don't see the similarity, though? That's what I'm saying. Like, Trump's acting like that.
I get it. Trump did a lot of the same things, too, and that's why, Trump gave a lot of lip service but didn't back off. Like, I think his response to January 6th was like, oh, I didn't know they were really going to go in the building. Right. I was going to get them all riled up. I didn't know that they were... But I think even Trump underestimates the power that he has to influence the people who support him. Okay? I want us to be critical thinkers. I want us to have some complexity of thought. I want us to stop self-lobotomizing when it comes to the issues that we're facing, and stop thinking that some orange savior on a white horse is riding in to overturn all of these things and save our American institutions of historic legacy and importance. He's not. Anyone who truly understood their place in history to the degree that I think Donald Trump has held in the last, decade at least, or maybe not quite, but you would hold it with a little more responsibility, I would hope. And I think that he was a little bit frivolous. I think that he's been a little bit callous. And there are quite literally people with ankle monitors on, there are American prisoners that are being held without charge, without a solid indictment over the January 6th thing. And it's a travesty of justice. We see that. And he's basically silent until it comes time for him to tell you how bad Joe Biden is and how great he is.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a break a little bit early here so that we have enough time to get into all of the money. There may be shortages of baby formula. Your babies may not be able to eat, but we are spending a lot of money in Ukraine if the Democrats have anything to say about it. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Masterworks. So as we all know, obviously, Biden's America, I wouldn't say it's going well. It feels like we're constantly getting ripped off, but there is actually a special investment our government overlords are trying to keep all to themselves, and it is, you're not going to know this, you're not going to realize this, it's art. Yeah, it's surprising to hear that people invest in art unless you know the stats. It's got a 0.01 correlation to public equities, which means it's great for diversification. This investment actually outpaced the S&P 500 by over 2 times from 1995 to 2021. And now art investing is no longer just for the billionaires. Anyone can do it with Masterworks, the first platform letting anyone add shares of famous art to their portfolio. And by the way, my audience can skip Masterworks waitlist by going to masterworks.art/news. Again, that's masterworks.art/news. See important regulations and disclosures at masterworks.io/CD. Congratulations, taxpayers. The House of Representatives just approved a $40 billion bill to send a bunch of aid to Ukraine. This passed, by the way, 368 to 57, which means a lot of people who you considered on your team actually agreed to send this money over to this other country, even when you consider the fact that Joe Biden, actually, he only requested, $33 billion? He only requested $33 billion, but the House upped it to $40 billion. This is supposed to give Ukraine military and economic assistance. But there are some $54 million for the CDC to control disease in Ukraine, $900 million for refugee and entrant assistance. And this new legislation would bring American support for the effort to nearly $54 billion to Ukraine, even as Americans are suffering when they go to the grocery store, when they go to the gas pump, when they can't find baby food, baby formula for their babies. Americans here are suffering, and Congress wants to send your money to Ukraine. Here is Nancy Pelosi, who made a, this is very, very interesting, Nancy Pelosi, of all people, making a religious appeal as to why Congress needs to spend $40 billion of your tax money for Ukraine.
So when you're home thinking, what is this all about? Just think about when I was hungry, you fed me, in the Gospel of Matthew.
When I was hungry, you fed me. I guess that only applies to people who don't live in our country. It doesn't apply to your own citizens. It just applies to people abroad, I suppose. Now, you would think when you are looking at the state of things that it was just the Democrats that were insisting upon this. No, actually, Mitch McConnell, he agreed. He said everyone agrees that Ukraine is the most important thing going on right now. Watch.
I think we all agree the most important thing going on in the world right now is the war in Ukraine.
Is it?
I had a chance to call the president last week and request that the Ukraine package move by itself and quickly.
I'm surprised he got the president on the phone, seeing as how he's probably at lunch with segregationists.
Yeah. Also want to say this,
weird.
you know what? I just think we should go back to the circus and we should put the greatest class act in the human canon and take this guy, this little turtleneck boy, shove him into a cannon and just launch him over the border and see what happens. Because I am so sick of these pathetic losers in Congress. They are mocking us. Like, I mean, because this is a kid's show. I won't say hitting our faces with a wet, but I would say it if it was. This is what it is.
This is a kid's show?
This is a wet one. It is. It's just soggy. It's flaccid, and they slap us in the face with it in front of the public. And this is what this is. This is. I feel sexually assaulted by our Congress because I watch this and I go, man.
Me too.
First of all, sir. You've ever heard of a staple gun? Fix that. Secondly, with him out there, nobody in our country, we care nothing more than the war in Ukraine. There's nothing more important. Like, think about this, and I want everyone watching this right now to remember this. Your problems that you see every day, you are sitting in your house, you are in your car, wherever you are listening, whether it's audio, which you can download, by the way, leave a 5-star review,
Please.
Or anywhere. And you are paying up to $5 for a gallon of gas, maybe $6. You cannot get baby formula. And you know nobody's more affected than the meth addicts that populate 30% of LA. They use the baby formula for their meth. But mothers can't feed their kids. You can't. My wife came home yesterday, could not find chicken at a store. Couldn't find chicken, okay? Couldn't buy chicken. You can't buy basic poultry. You walk around and you see there is crime increasing, right? My car just got broken into in North Dallas County, stole everything, immigration papers, in a nice area that's supposed to be the second safest city in America. No, it got broken into. You see your kids getting involved in drugs. Up to 100,000 people overdosing on fentanyl and opiates and drug overdoses in our country. We see an increase in depression, not only in the suicide side of things, but in anxiety. We are passing out pills like they are candy. There are backlogs for therapists and for counselors inside of communities for minors. There is a 400% increase in California in some counties for speech therapists for babies who don't know how to talk because of the masks that were in place for 2 years. You see all of this going on. You're witnessing the crumbling. How many of your families fell apart in the last 2 years over vaccines? How many of you guys can't see your family members because you didn't get your booster? How many of you couldn't travel around the world? And you're going to sit here, you're going to tell me that the biggest issue in my life, in my family, in my country, in my world is a country called the borderland that has been used as a money laundering scheme for the global elite, a human trafficking center for the pedophiles, the child molesters that are currently in office. You damn well better watch your back. Because you know what? I hope that the same violence that you guys have let get into the streets of our country that is attacking our families and our friends, I hope you experience what we experience every day. The suffering, the pain, the increase of cost. Because they don't experience it. They can stand there and say that, and it's about damn time the people in Congress actually see the world and the country that they've created.
Yeah, you summed it up quite perfectly, Elijah. Just to kind of give you some supporting documentation here. Here's from the Wall Street Journal, a graph of foreign donors, contributions by individuals of more than $50,000 to the Clinton Foundation. Ukraine is sitting there at the top. $10 million. You just got to wonder what our lawmakers' motives are in this gigantic push to support Ukraine. Chad, I want to get your take on this as well, but I just want to add in this Trafalgar Group survey that was taken recently. To Elijah's point, the American people, I don't think, are buying this. This is like 38% of people who say that lowering inflation and fixing the economy is the most important thing to them. 15.9% addressing climate change, which is, we could just go off on that just in itself. Why are there 16% of people who think that that's important? But the point is, 11% securing the border, developing more natural gas and oil production in the United States, 7%. All of those things are more important than ending the Russia and Ukraine war. So even the leftist crazies, ensuring racial equity is at like 11%. Even the leftist crazies who think things like that still are in agreement that Ukraine is not important.
I can't believe on that entire list of all those statistics and those graphs of things that people find important that erectile dysfunction is not a single category on that entire thing.
That may have not been an option.
These people are concerned with things that I'm not concerned with. I can just tell you, I live in the real world. I'm changing my name to Ukraine so I can get some of that American money.
Yeah.
All right? Me and Elijah, we're going to be Ukraine and me-crane, and we're going to make some money. I want some of that taxpayer dole, baby.
I say F Ukraine. Like, I don't even care. And you know what? I was going to say this entire time, all black people had to do was become Ukrainian residents, and maybe someone would have cared about them in the government. Like, I'm telling you this: gays, blacks, all the people out there that are claiming victimhood. It's like you need to get Ukrainian citizenship. Listen to this: Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene messaged me some stuff, and I want to read this real fast.
Okay, yeah, please.
In the America last $40 billion Ukraine, this is from our representative, Ukraine First bill that we are voting on tonight, there is authorization for funds to be given to the CIA for who knows what and who knows how much. And she said, there's $900 million to be given to qualified organizations and nonprofits, aka friends and family of politicians, businesses, to provide wraparound services, housing, medical, and just free everything. Anyone that is walked through Ukraine qualifies for resettlement. It said anyone who may have lived there can get resettled in the United States or in a Western country. I'm looking at some of these numbers here, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars set aside for entitlement programs, like things like hundreds of millions for assistance for proxies, it says in the bill, meaning there's just like, people just have access now to billions of dollars for whatever they want to do. There's also slush funds for the State Department for Ukraine and others. They're setting aside a couple hundred, right here is $110 million for maintenance of embassies. Like just things, I'm calling this out. And I'm even looking here that there's an additional amount for a capital investment fund for $10 million to remain available until expended to respond to the situation in Ukraine. So there's lines in there with just tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, collectively billions of this 40 billion. This is why you said, why is it 40, not 33? Mm-hmm. Because they've allotted an extra $7 to $10 billion in this bill that they voted on that just creates funds. And I just want to know this. That's what you said. I want to get in on this because, apparently it pays to play, and it pays very, very well. I mean, like the Black Lives Matter people, got a $6 million house in LA. I want your $180 million maintenance fund. I will be the custodian. Yeah. I volunteer.
Did Marjorie say anything about white, heterosexual, conservative Christian males that wear cowboy hats in Texas? Did we get anything from that?
Possibly. If they had their way, you could get shot in the head.
I've been to Ukraine.
Oh, you may be eligible if you've been there.
I'm going to check in on this.
I'm serious. Resettlement? It's like, I might go now.
Is there a website .gov I can go to? You two just went and put on a concert there in this war-torn country. You two did a full-blown production. Dr. Jill Biden just made a little visit. Not Joey Basements, but Jill, his wife. She went over there. I just don't understand when we started sending first ladies into war-torn countries when the rest of the citizens are fleeing that country, and we're sending in our first lady. None of that makes sense to me.
You gotta wonder.
But what do you know?
Well, she's a doctor, though, and so we know that, especially even our Supreme Court justice is not a biologist. She's not a doctor.
That's true.
So we know that doctors are even better than, our judiciary branch, right? So, we have the fourth branch of the government, which is Dr. Jill.
Dr. Jill, Doctors Without Borders.
Doctors
All right. By the way, this
so
amount
good.
that Congress
That's a meme.
It's a meme.
This
That's
amount
so
that
good.
Congress wants to spend in Ukraine is about $6 billion more than the United States spent on all of its foreign and military aid in 2019. So now that you're sick, we're going to take a break and be right back.
I just want $1 billion. I don't even want that.
Yesterday, poor man's peppermint patty Jen Psaki said the quiet parts out loud, as they have been doing, and admitted that the Biden administration actually supports the protests outside the Supreme Court justices' homes. Here is Jen Psaki.
So I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date, and we certainly continue to encourage that outside of judges' homes, and that's the president's position.
Oh, that's interesting. It's just that that's it's just supposed to be illegal is the thing. I don't know if you guys.
Can't
it's
stand
just
that condescending chick.
She's so bad. When is she done at the end of the month? I know she's done very soon.
Can't come fast enough.
It really cannot.
But then, of course, we get, the CNN anchor.
Well, her husband doesn't think so.
Yeah. I was like, wait.
It's
yeah, that is interesting, too, the conflict of interest there, because the deputy who is going to step up
She checks
as the
the
new
boxes,
press secretary.
She's black and she's out LGBTQ+, which is what Jen Psaki said about her.
Which is what you want when you have a press
She's not
secretary.
in LGBTQ+. She's out LGBTQ+.
Right.
She made sure to clarify that because these categories matter. They matter.
Can I say this, though? I always want to know this with the LGBTQ community is, like, how many shots does it take you to become out? Like, because it's like they're just normal people, but it's like, because, the joke is, right, is that how Ikea created, we talked about this, Ikea created the bisexual couch to celebrate bisexuality. And, Chrissy Mayer famously, stated that every couch becomes a bisexual couch 8 shots later, So it's so ridiculous, like out LGBTQ, but she's married to a man. And it's this whole idea of like, or is she married to a man? Is she? I don't know. Maybe she's married to a woman. I don't even know anymore, but
the new one?
The new
Yeah.
one? No, she's with
she's domestic partner is
That's what I was
with
saying.
the,
She was with a
CNN,
man or
female
something
CNN
at a certain
anchor.
point, and it's just so absolutely confusing. I will say this, and I don't want to implicate myself, but people don't.
Again?
I know where every one of these people lives. I know their residences. I know their private residences. I have done extreme amounts of time. I have time on my hands right now. And I know where they all live. And I just find it to be quite strange that people would get up and talk about that the president thinks it's a good idea to go in front of people's houses. Now, everyone knows I'm a fair guy. I don't do anything crazy. I wouldn't do anything crazy. But if I have access to this, I know so much about these people that I need to be careful with what I say. And they need to be careful because they're pushing people over the limit. Now, let's just say I would do something stupid in my life. Let's just say I would put myself in a position where I could get in legal trouble. Never been there before, but let's just say I would with the federal government and be tracked for months and still have subpoenas on my stuff. But let's just say I would put myself in that position. I gotta say, there are a lot of people out there that I happen to know that would do those stupid things, who now also have that information. Did I give it to them? Of course not. I would never transfer that information to the people. But I will say that there are very, very, very powerful and very, very, very crazy people out there that do have all of their personal information. So when you want to start a battle like this is what I think they've taken us for granted for. Well, you can, protest out in front of the justice's house. Oh, honey. Your information's out there. You just don't know it yet. And you don't realize who has it. And if you want to start this, that's what I was going to say. You want to start this. We're past the point. We're past the point to where I'm going, okay, let's go.
I actually
you get where I'm going with this?
I agree with you, especially considering that the United States Code, like, it very blatantly makes this, like, what they're doing outside the Supreme Court justices' homes, not in front of, Peppermint Patty's home, but outside the Supreme Court justices' home specifically is, in fact, illegal. You guys who are watching it can see. Yeah, it's supposed to be a felony. Picketing or parading with the intent of influencing any judge, juror, witness, or court officer in the discharge of his duty shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. So, I mean, this is a very clear crime that they are committing. I gotta say, I'm with you, Elijah. Like, I'm ready to fight fire with fire. These people want to encourage that. See what happens.
People have receipts.
See what
I have
happens.
spreadsheets.
See what happens when people show up at your door, because I'm not sure that you're protected by this U.S. code. You're not a Supreme Court justice.
It was like somebody said on Twitter the other day, we run millions deep. Oh, do you? Do you? Like we're really worried about you in that regard. I concur with the sentiment that people think that we can't know who you are. Let's just start with that, just knowing who you are. You think that using a fake name and a fake avatar profile picture on Twitter somehow gives you anonymity to put your threats out there and say all of these things. We know who you are. I mean, I have guys in, let's just say we know who you are.
There's a guy who's being charged right now with making a terroristic threat against me because he threatened to kill me over in North Carolina. I'm sure he thought that he wasn't ever going to be found out either.
The other day,
Exactly.
what I sent you a screenshot of it. There was a guy who did some nefarious things, and what did I do? I sent you the screenshot of my text messages to that person. He thought he was slick.
He did,
but
he was not expecting to hear
it
from you.
doesn't have. I mean, I don't let the cowboy hat fool you. No, by all means, let the cowboy hat fool you. We're reasonably well organized in this regard. I'm not saying like Lori Lightfoot did the other day that it's a call to arms.
No.
I'm just saying F around and you will find out.
But you know that, and this is I'm going to watch my words before you even go further. I want to just add this to that, saying, okay, so Lori Lightfoot, who's probably she should be called Heavyfoot. She's got some weight problems there, but so you are doing something that I feel that the left is a child who has been poking their dad too much. And it's like, okay, if you're a kid and you start, punching your dad's shins and legs or whatever, fine. But if you accidentally come as a kid and sock your dad right in the nuts, which kids are at that perfect height where they just like, boom. I've seen enough TikToks where a dad, even just out of instinct, right, out of reflex, just goes like, boom, and like knocks their kid halfway across the room. And it's not even because they're abusive or anything. It's like, it's just a man. You hit his nuts. He's gonna react, right? Just boom. And nobody's looking at the dad like he's evil. It's just like, oh, I get it, right? You accidentally get punched in the nuts. Like, what is that, right? It's like a dog or anything does it to you. You react. That's what they're getting close to. They've picked and prodded our wombs, our families, and they're getting close to where our reaction will not only be justified, our reaction will not only be understood, it will be unavoidable because they're pushing our reflexes. They're getting too close to the nutsack is what I'm trying to say, and they're going to find out quickly that you don't want to mess with the people that own all the weapons in the country.
I would tend to agree, Chad.
Well, I mean, I still go back to the thing. People want to say, oh, you guys talk with such, what would our founding fathers be doing? What would be happening if you were being taxed to death, your money, your hard work is going to places like Ukraine.
Corrupt countries.
You have people in your front yard protesting, trying to coerce a Supreme Court justice. What would our founding fathers, what would their reaction be? I mean, pistols at dawn. I've said over and over again, you beta soy boy cuck, lefty lunatic fringe, wild-eyed progressive nonsense bearing. Let's just bring back some gloves, slap you in the face, and say, I'll see you at 9 a.m. This is the kind of thing, it will stop all this thin-skinned stuff. It will stop all of this offendedness, this sense of outrage and oppression and manufactured victimhood. It stops all of this kind of stuff. And you're right in that regard. You've seen the the dog that's just like playing on the mama dog or the alpha dog and just playing, and then all of a sudden it sinks the teeth in one time. And it's like, that dog, all of a sudden the instinct just takes over. Mm-hmm. We're in strange times, right? We're in strange times. The funny thing is, like, I was on a podcast yesterday, and they were showing the preview for one of the World Economic Forums of what the world will look like in 2030, and it was this great utopian paradise. And I said, here's the problem with that. People haven't changed. Thousands of years of human history. People, they're still mean. Yeah. They're still mean, and they still have an instinct for survival. And when you have a person with nothing left to lose, you keep canceling people. You know what's going to happen? You're going to create a whole group of society with nothing else to lose. And there's no more dangerous person than a man who's lost it all. You take everything away from him, and I'm telling you, you're going to find out. Nobody wants that to happen. I say that. Some people do want it to happen. Let's face facts. But you guys, I've been called a homophobe, a racist, a xenophobe, a transphobe. I mean, everything. I'm a misogynist. I'm a bigot.
For my friends, by the way.
All the things, right? I just check.
You hit the list.
I mean, if Jen Psaki wants to check the boxes because characteristics matter, I mean, obviously I've hit every one of them for just speaking my mind and telling the truth and believing in a limited government where I want to be left the F alone.
Yeah.
But no, you want to keep coming at me. You want to keep coming at me. I can't say anything. I can't say the sky is blue and the day is beautiful on Twitter without some pinhead under a fake name and a false pretense coming and saying, oh, we're going to come in, we're going to find you and all that. Come effing find me then. I have a very public schedule at watchchad.com. I'll be in Naples, Florida for 2 shows, Off the Hook Comedy Club. Dave Chappelle me, bitch.
Exactly.
Well, I think that sums
exactly,
it up.
Sarah. No, and I'm going to say this. I've said this on multiple
Last
streams
word.
recently. As I just said, we live in Texas, and it's the point to where I said, I've turned every cheek. I pulled down my pants. I let them grab my other cheeks. We have no more cheeks to give, right? And the time of reckoning is near. And it's not just speaking from talking heads. It's like, you want to test to see if I'm a talking head? Then touch me in public in Texas, and you find out if I'm a talking head or if you're going to lose yours.
This is why me and him don't hang out anymore.
It's too much. There's too much testosterone.
When you touch me, I enjoy it. That's the problem.
I know. I have found the extra cheek.
Time to take a break.
Back when he was allegedly hiding. When the FBI was allegedly looking for him, he was allegedly at my house.
Candidate for Texas Governor Robert Francis O'Rourke, who I actually know better as the man who employs women who assault me. That Robert Francis O'Rourke was on The View yesterday, and he refused to say whether he supported any limits on abortion at all. Here's that clip.
I do want to press further because you're a progressive hero. There are so many people around the country who admire you and your leadership. Do you believe in any limitations on abortion, whether it's the 3rd trimester or up until even the final months, 9 months?
I think Roe versus Wade, which we should remind ourselves is still the law of the land today, is the reference point that I would look to. And the way I think I can best express this is that I trust women. We should all trust women to make their own decisions that are in their best interest for themselves, for their health care, and for their future. That's the way it's been literally my entire life. I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 this year, but that's the way it should be going forward.
No, that's not. But I can't get past this woman calling him a progressive hero. Like, why? Because he keeps losing his elections?
He can ollie. And I think that's the most athleticism we've seen from a Democrat in a while. He can pop off a curb.
They keep picking these candidates who keep losing, and they keep propping them up because that's the best that they have. It's pathetic.
And if you watch that clip, you saw how he kind of puffs up a little bit when she says that.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just trust women. To do what? I mean, there was a woman that was a cop in Alabama that just took off with her boyfriend who was an inmate. She wound up tragically shooting herself. That's a sad deal. Do you trust her in that situation?
Women are not to be trusted.
Let's carry it on down. I mean, listen, if you look at the unicorn scale on like the hot versus crazy, you've seen that graph of how to pick a woman and, the unicorn that doesn't exist. The crazy side of the scale starts at 4% because they say that all women are at least 4% crazy.
It's true.
There's no doubt about that. Listen, I've said it forever. Women are crazy, men are stupid. That's just the world we live in. Screw Mars and Venus. I mean, we're from a whole other weird place, I'm telling you. But no, when he does this kind of stuff, notice he did not answer the question.
No, of course he didn't.
He never answered the question. He never came out and said, okay, this is, I mean, at least Ralph Northam admitted what he believed when he was governor of Virginia and said, right. Well, yeah, we'll terminate babies even after they've been born.
Yeah. Keep it comfortable.
But I mean, talk about cultural appropriation. Why is nobody? They come after Tom Hanks' son for using the Padua slang, on his deal, and I'm like, really, and here's that Nigerian interviewer, that's going to talk about, do you want to apologize for this kind of stuff? Is there something you want to say? And she's got, I spent 15 years in Nigeria. They don't have long, straight hair.
Yeah.
That's cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
But you talk about cultural appropriation. Why is nobody pissed off at Bobby O'Rourke? Why is nobody pissed off at him for using Beto? We're using that phrase to call himself that.
I am.
I mean, should the left, by their own standard, not just be absolutely livid with this guy?
It's not just
but
that.
He's a progressive hero.
At his town halls, he throws in random like Spanish
I know he does.
slang.
I know
you know,
he
he's
does.
like, oh, well, these poor kids going around in school in their chones. And I'm like, shut up. You do not use that word. It means underwear, by the way.
Okay, so I was watching.
What are they walking around with their testicles for?
No, that's not.
That's not chones?
No, it's underwear.
No,
but
yeah, I know. I'm from California.
We're talking about poor kids not being able to shower.
Why do you think we get along? We get along, you know why? Because I've been around Mexicans for too many years of my life, and I know you guys are all absolute emotionally crazy. But you know what I love?
You're not wrong.
The sincerity and the love and the dedication.
The passion.
Have you ever watched?
I love it.
Telemundo? The Passion on Telemundo?
Yes.
I've never watched Telemundo
It's
for the
true.
shows, I'll tell you that. I've only watched it for the the ideas. Very, very, very pronounced ideas that tell me the weather, and I'm like, I don't. You know, by the way, that's what I say. That's what and I love. Look, and I mean this, and I want to get into this because.
Sound like Joe Biden right there. I mean it.
Yeah, but
Not a joke.
But I want to sell this in truth. The very boomer approach, and I mean this, boomer is not an age, it's a way of looking at life. You know, I'm very honest about women, about race. I'm a race realist. I'm a gender realist. I'm just a realist. And if you're a racist, right, they always go, and I'm going to get to the debate about gender. They go, okay, you're a racist. Oh, you're saying Mexicans are crazy, but they're passionate. That's not racism. That's a genuine truth. There is a certain thing about
stereotypes are built on truth.
They're totally true. And they're funny, and the way that we actually get along and are not racist is by the things we don't get about each other, we can make a joke of. And I believe that fully. Like, I think if we can make something funny and we can laugh at something, therefore that makes it tolerable. That's actually tolerance. It makes something you can take. So when you're like, dude, Mexican people they're just crazy. You know, people say, oh, white people don't season their food, or white people don't punish their kids, or just whatever, randomly, or they're colonizers. Fine, let's laugh, let's enjoy ourselves. But you know what? I find that racist jokes went away, and then after that came with the gender stuff too, where we stopped realizing, guess what? Men and women are distinctly different. And there are really dumb things about women and really dumb things about men. And we were designed, and we're in specific roles. And one of the things about women is you don't believe all women, because women don't even believe each other. Have you ever met women that are really good friends with each other? Not for long. That's why you always have that's why you have bachelorette parties. Bachelor parties, that's called every Friday for me and Chad. You don't need a bachelor party. Bachelorette, you need to hype each other up. I mean this with women, genuinely. A guy who goes out like, we really gotta, just believe everything women say. Dude, no. What you should say is we've got to make sure women are getting the opportunities to live in the roles they were designed to live in, and also that they are given the ability, like for instance, with women, I'm going to say this, everyone says, oh, you're sexist, misogynist. No. Do you know what's really truthful? If you cared about women, you would fight for an economy so women could stay home if they wanted to. You would fight for housing prices so that a man could work and a woman could raise her kids. You would fight for a system that doesn't tax people to force them to pay for public school so they could choose the school, so they could raise their kids with the education they want. And also buy a nice purse in the process.
Oh,
exactly.
I
meant if you cared. These people...
Did you send that to him?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Did you send him the purse thing?
Send him the purse thing.
How many work husbands do you have?
I didn't. It was
Believe
just
all
you.
women, my fat, white, pimpled ass.
All right, now we got to take a break and sort this out. We'll be back.
Wow.
I didn't. He has no idea. All right, Britney Spears no longer in a conservatorship and posted a bunch of nude pictures. These are very graphic for those of you who have children. Bunch of nude pictures, and people are like, should she have been removed from this conservatorship? What say you guys?
Well, it drove me to her Instagram for the first time in history. The writers here at the Blaze said, do you want to do a video on this today? We'll put it out there. And I was like, I absolutely don't.
It's OnlyFans. That would be an OnlyFans video, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, she's what, like 40? She finally got her own freedom back, her own life back. She's chosen to do this.
That's what happens when you give women's money. Women money. They start
Yeah.
taking their clothes off in public.
All women should have a conservatorship. I say that's called being under a man.
So life is going the other way.
And also, I don't know if I just saw a picture up, but the Hillary Duff thing.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. Hillary Duff is very attractive.
Yeah.
And I wasn't wrong when I was 8. I knew.
Yeah, I knew too.
You're not wrong there. That's all I have to say about that. Gentlemen, thank you. Chad Prather, Elijah Schaefer. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to Blaze TV so you can check them out.